Hello, my name is James Arroyo, and this is going to be a guide to the application paper assignment. So, there are going to be three application papers throughout the semester, and each one is going to follow the exact same format. The first is going to cover 4 chapters. The second is going to cover 4 chapters. The third is going to cover 4 chapters. Application paper 1 is going to cover chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Application paper 2 is going to cover 5, 6, 7, 8, and then application paper 3 is going to cover 9, 10, 11, and 12. So, in these sections, you are going to choose 8 concepts from anywhere in those 4 chapters, at least 2 per chapter. So that's the goal, to have 2 per chapter, and you must label where it is coming, which chapter it is coming from. So in each application, each of these 8 applications, you are going to have 4 components. The first component is a story from your life. The second is going to be the definition of the concept that you are using. Then, the third is going to explain how that story connects to that definition. So, in other words, analyzing how your story is an example of this concept. Then, the fourth one is where you go into the textbook and you look for any interesting findings that you have. So, here's an example from Bad Apples. This, I believe, is from chapter 1. So, I had one group that had a girl who immediately started talking about how boring it is and how none of us knew what we were doing and how we were all going to fail. And I know that sounds like just like the book, but she really was really like this. I knew exactly what we had to do because she had all. I knew exactly what we had to do because she had already said that we were going to fail, and everyone was discouraged and doubted each other. So, in other words, she had a story here where someone just was automatically throwing negative situations, a lot of negative communication, and that that made everyone gave other people a negative outlook. Now, the concept bad apple means a disruptive person who poisons the group. This is an example of a bad apple because the girl immediately had bad expectations of the group and brought everyone down with those expectations. Then the book says that the group who have a bad apple will negatively affect the rest of the group. The groups who had bad apples were also shown to do worse by 30 to 40% compared to other groups without bad apples. So that is every part of this. Now, there's a few last things that you will be graded on. First, keep in mind that you have the right amount of terms. Page numbers should be minimum of 1 page, but that would even be a bit too little. I would say probably shoot for a page and a half to 2 pages to maybe even 3 pages. That being said, 8 concepts. That is what I'm looking for. The connection, I'm also looking for a connection between the story and the term. So, in other words, those 4 components. Along with that, the textbook finding. And then the big one, and this one is hard for me to describe, but is the concept too simple? I want to avoid things like communication. I once was talking to my sister. Communication is the symbolic exchange of meaning. In my story, I was symbolically changing meaning when I was talking to my sister. An interesting finding about communication is that it can lead to conflict. I want to avoid situations like that. So, a good rule of thumb is first, is it something that is in the chapter title? If it is in the chapter title, then it is not worth, it is far too simple. Also, is it something that you could reasonably assume that someone outside of the class would be able to write about. If that's the case, then it probably is too simple as well. Please ask me if you have any questions as to what qualifies. That concludes the discussion on the application paper assignments. Have a wonderful day.